about mental illness that's so painful and so bedeviling is the loneliness. People feel alone. Their sadness, their depression, there's a lot of reasons it comes from, but it's associated with people not seeing you, not understanding you, not caring enough about you to know that you're feeling the way that you're feeling. Well, the good news is we're all in it together now. Some people have religion, some people have athletics, some people are fatalistic about the world. There's a million different ways that you can get along in this world with all these, potentially awful things that kind of loom over us and have a good life. It's beautiful outside. The weather is beautiful, and the people I've been talking to here are lovely and smart and compassionate, and there's a lot of ways that you can start to feel good about the world from all these awful things that I was just describing. But I think it's fair for us to at least recognize that somewhere in the operating system, these kinds of things, at some point, might have an effect on people. And, so knowing that other people have that, Saturday Night Live now is relevant again. I'm really enjoying it. They had a thing on this Saturday where they were like, your brain doesn't work game show. And they're like, hey, since COVID, nobody's brain works. How are you doing? Question number one, if you were going to start a conversation with another human being, how would that go? I don't know. You're like, great. Now, here is this person. Who is this person? Oh, I know that guy. And we were in college for 3 years together. We lived in the same guy. You're like, Todd? Is it John? So there is some, and I'm laughing at that, and you're like, we're laughing at it. It means we have that in common. We have pretty much in common. So I actually think that there's a little bit of a roadmap towards affinity, or at least understanding, or at least a little bit of compassion or empathy towards yourself, but towards other people. So, and I find that reassuring personally. You'll note in conversations with people, you'll be like, oh, what books do you read? Oh, you read that book? Or what list of music do you like? Having things in common with each other all of a sudden makes you feel better about the person you're talking to. For example, oh, you like the Chicago Cubs? Oh, great, Cubs, right? Oh, hey, you're living in a time when, mental strain is the par for everyone. Like, oh, yeah, I'm with that. Yeah, I'm with you on that, too. That's awesome. Cool. So, let me just describe a little bit of my mom and her life. This is where it gets a little intense. I don't know if there's kids around or whatever, but this, I'm able to speak about these things because my mother decided that speaking about them for herself was empowering to her. So I am not telling tales out of school. I am continuing to tell the tales that she told. And my mother was an extraordinary mother. There were things that she did for me as a mother that set me up for my whole life. And so it's not really hard for me to talk about the bad things because I fully processed them. So I just say that to you because when you hear them, it can be startling. But it's cool to tease out how we handled it, how she handled it, and how I handled it. So my mother, in her childhood, was discovered. First of all, her father was in the Navy in the Second World War. He had alcoholism. He died. I don't know if it was liver or cirrhosis. I don't know what it was, but he died of alcoholism. Her mom, when she was young, before she was 10, he died. My grandmother, maternal grandmother, Frances, hello, Sean, it's Grandma. I'm calling to leave you the message To tell yous I love you. Love, Grandma. She signed her voice messages. She just had a heart of gold, but she was suffered from depression on a massive scale. Like, I don't know how bad a part nutrition played in her life, but she, you can't live on Wonder Bread and bologna, she's like, she did drink beer once in a while, but when my mom was a little kid, the managers, there were these managers, John and Ethel Ross, who represented kid talent. And we're talking in the 50s. And they took a shine to her, first to her brother and then to her. And she was able to book some commercials, and they saw that she was able to, like, she was going to be a good one. So, but my grandmother was a wreck. They lived in very poor and just very emotionally, challenged individual. So they convinced her that the right thing to do was to have my mom live with them. Which, okay, horrifying from my mom's perspective. It was like she was being torn away from her mother. She didn't understand where she was going. She didn't really want to do that, but she wasn't given an option. They decided that her name, instead of Anna Marie Patricia Duke, her name, they said Patty Duke. Patty Duke is, Anna is dead, you're Patty now, is what they said to her. And I picture it in my mind as them being like, oh, we've got an idea, this is wonderful. The way she describes it, it was like they literally killed her when they said that. They killed her identity. And so they built up this little star, this Broadway star, and then a movie star, and then a television star. She was physically abused, she was sexually abused. And by the time she got out to Los Angeles, when they moved her TV show up there, she was a hot mess. And tons of money, making tons of money. Of course, the manager took all the money, but she had a car and she had she's famous. She's one of the most famous people in America at that point. And she got married right away.